If you guys have any questions, please do submit those. And while we're doing that, I'm going to transfer over so that we can begin the live demonstration portion of this. Okay, so if there's any questions, go ahead and get those in. It looks like we did have a couple that came in during that presentation. So the first question is from Becky. It says, can SEP back up to an HP RDX drive cartridge? And yes, the answer is yes. We definitely can. Again, any type of media that is recognized by your operating system, we can back up to. So it can be disk, it can be tape, it can be, you know, anything from an LTO1 to an LTO5, anything from, you know, one tape slot up to several thousand in a large tape library. So yes, it is fully supported. Okay, another question just came in. Again, compatibility with some HP hardware from Jennifer. Yeah, that should be absolutely fine. We fully support all the HP products, and yeah, don't see any issues with that at all. One second while I read the next question. Okay, so the next question is, with virtual machines, can I do an image level backup of the C drive only and get larger data volumes another way? And the answer is yes, you can do that. That came from Drew. So yes, Drew, you can. That is possible. Christian, do you want to elaborate on that at all?
Oh, that's fine. You can do that, of course.
Okay.
I will show you that in the live presentation later.
Okay. And then next question says, I'm running backup exec on Windows 2008 server with Linux remote agents. Is this how SEP will work? Yeah, we can run in that environment. That's fine. You can put the main backup server on Windows 2008, no problem. And then you can also, you know, use remote Linux agents as well. The other option you have is if you have a large Linux environment, then you would be able to, you know, basically run it on Linux if you wanted to. You're more than welcome to keep it on Windows. And what we generally recommend is run it on whatever operating system you're most comfortable with. So if you're more comfortable with Windows, keep it on Windows. If you'd like to switch it over and run it on Linux so that everything's, you know, is running on Linux and you're backing up a lot of Linux clients, then that's no problem at all. Next question coming in is, will SEP set retention flags on backed up emails in GroupWise? Christian, I'm going to defer that one to you. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Me neither, but I don't think so, because what we get over our new interface is the whole mailbox. So what you can do is you can save the mailbox on a special media pool and put a retention time on the media pool. So you have a, you know, kind of a retention time on every email in this backup.
Okay, great. Did that answer? I hope that answered your question, Ian. And if not, please ask us another question. The other thing I also wanted to mention too is we're more than happy to follow up with you guys individually. You know, if you guys do want to see what, you know, exactly what the capabilities are in your environment and kind of do a test, you know, contact us, let me know. I'm more than happy to schedule some time with you know, each and every one of you guys, if you'd like, to set up some proof of concepts, to just kind of help you guys get started, maybe point you in the right direction for some documentation, some quick installation guides so you can see what everything looks like. And we're more than happy to work with you so that you guys can actually get a little test going, you know, and compare the differences and compare the speed, see how much quicker your backups are, see what kind of functionality we offer and all of that. And we're more than happy to help you guys get started. One last question I have before we jump into this says, will I be able to do full backups once a week with differential on the other days? And the answer is yes, you'll definitely be able to do that. I you will have differential or incremental options, and that's kind of the most common backup scenario that we recommend is doing full backups on the weekends and then daily incrementals, and then theoretically migrating those to an offsite location as well. So we are going to jump into the live demo portion. Please continue to ask questions as we go through. I'll kind of be monitoring those while Christian's going through the live demo portion, and then again at the end we'll answer any questions that you guys have also. So, Christian, I will turn it over to you.
Well, Lenai, thank you for the great introduction. So what I can do for you now is to give you a very quick and a good overview of the product, SEP Sesam, and I will start with the way how you can do the installation. Option number one is you select the operating system, which feels comfortable for you, Windows, Linux, Debian, something else, or you keep things much easier and download the appliance. The appliance is an ISO image, what comes with the /11 with a prepared database and with the latest version of the SEP Sesam server, and just burn the CD and install it on your server, or start for test a virtual system. You can also run the SEP server in a virtual environment if you want, but for high performance, we recommend a physical box. And this installation takes approx, I think, 2 or 3 minutes, and then we have a perfect prepared SEP Sesam server. This here, what you see is the graphic user interface. As I told you, it's written in Java, so you can start it on pretty much every operating system. I installed it on a Windows 7 box, and it's totally equal to all the other operating systems. This is an important message for you. And the configuration starts here at the top level. Components topology. Very easy. What you can do here is build little houses, call new locations that you and your colleagues, or better said, the administrator, have an overview which server or which client is, for example, here, level 1. Okay, level 1. We have here, a group below Citrix 10, and then you can add a new client to level 1. Add a new client is you install on a system from which you want to have a backup the agent, and after you install the agent, you click on new client, enter the host name here. A host name, for example, is, I just type in host name, very easy. Select the main platform. So a Linux system or OES is Unix, and then you can go here more in detail and select ESX server, Citrix 10, or Mac OS X, OES Linux. This is what you can do here, and then just agree with OK. So, and I think these steps take a couple of minutes. You can also do it when you have to add more than, 100 clients. You can start all these commands on the command line if you want. You don't have to, but you can, like an automatic installation script. And this is what I did. I prepared a little environment. I installed a VMware workstation, and on this VMware workstation, I have my SEP Sesam server running, a ESX 5 host with a virtual machine inside. Okay, this is what you can see here. This is the Windows 7. The other systems I have is a fresh installed OES 11 with a group wise, with NSS volumes, with iFolder, with everything prepared for this demonstration. And here a Windows box with, the console 1 and the group wise agent. Here I have, a regular Windows system, 2008 R2. I use that here as a DNS server and for my Active Directory. And what I also have is a Xen server. I will go with you through the main installation points, what you have to do. Step number 1, this is what we already did, add all the clients to your backup server, okay? The only information what you have to know when you connect to a network system is that when you select OES Linux, you will see here a new tab. In this tab, you have to type in the account and the password to talk to the TSA agents on the system. Okay, that's the only thing what you have to do. The data mover is a very cool thing because you can also do LAN-free backup. So that means if you attach a SAN storage directly to your OES 11 box, then you can transfer the backup directly to the SAN. So you don't have to use your wire for your big data transfer. That's the reason why we have the data mover here, like a data stream translator or a data mover. Yeah, that's the reason why it's called data mover. And here, ESX is also very easy. You select operating system, ESX server, and then a new tab pops up, and you just type in the account to connect your ESX server. The data mover here is the system where your storage is. The best situation would be that this host has a connect to the same SAN storage as the ESX data stores, because in this case we can do a LAN-free SAN snapshot backup of all your VMs. And another cool feature, what will come out in the next releases, when you choose an NFS share as the SEP CSAM backup location, you can mount VMs out of the backup. So there is no downtime. Just an example. You recognize the storage of your ESX server is gone for any reason. What you have to do is you connect over the vCenter to the same NFS share as SEP CSAM does and add this as a ESX data store. And then you can browse all the VMs from the backup and start it. And this keeps downtime, in minutes maximum. Okay? Step number 2, data stores. This is a position where you can choose the disk on which you want to make your backup. You can use SAN storage, you can use iSCSI, you can use NFS, you can use a USB drive if you want. That maybe doesn't make that much sense, but sometimes we have co-locations, very small co-locations, where you just want to have a local file backup. So when you don't want to spend that much money, buy a cheap drive and attach it to the SEP CSAM. The next thing what we have is a remote device server. A remote device server is pretty much, or has pretty much the same functionality like the SEP CSAM server, but without a database. So when you have an environment with one main SEP CSAM server and some co-locations, you install one SEP CSAM server, and on the co-locations only the remote device server. So you can manage all the offices from this one SEP CSAM server, and you can decide if you want to leave the data at the co-location or you want to migrate it to the main location, so that you're always in the position to recover a co-location in your main location. This is very important, and a new technology, what we bring out in a future release, the dedup technology, we call it at the moment SEP i3 Store. This will offer you a technology with which you can deduplicate all your files, and after deduplication you can do a block level replication to your offsite location. Okay, we also want to support moving these files into the cloud, so you can, I think that will happen at the end of the year. You can choose as a data store, for example, Amazon storage or any cloud storage. Okay, at the moment we have a remote device server for Amazon, but this comes with our regular remote device server. Okay, I will show you how easy it is to just add your local disk as a data store. Let's call the name, let's take the name local data store, back store type path. This is what I will explain you later, the SEP Easy Archive. Step number 2 is choose here the server on which the storage is attached. This is what I tried to explain you when you have a storage and a second server. The only thing what you have to do is install a remote device server, select this remote device server, and then you can use this box as your data storage. I choose here my local box, select the temp directory. He tells you how much space is left and some things, what you can adjust with capacity maximum that you never, get out of space on your disk and stuff like that. You can create a new disk drive group. The feature what we have inside here with the disk drive group is when you have 5 different disks, okay? Let's say 5 2 terabyte disks. Then you can add one data store, add all these 5 different drives to this one data store, and he balance the files between these 5 drives. So you can add always more and more drives into the one data store in case you see there is, you run maybe out of space. This is what you can do with drive group. Maximum channels. This is one of our important features, the multi-streaming technology. Right in this position here, you can choose how many parallel streams you want to write to this disk. It starts with 5 and it ends, with, I don't know. There is pretty much no limit. The only limit, what you have here, is your environment. So when you have a very fast network technology or a very fast SAN technology, you can rise the channels up to 100 or 200 streams. This also depends on the SEP season version you buy. When you buy a standard server, when you buy advanced server, you get more and more parallel streams. Okay? Just accept that with OK. He asks you for creating a new media pool. The media pool is now the logical name for you. You can call this media pool, for example, weekly backup. So, when you start a backup later on this media pool, the retention time of the files you write on this pool is, let's say, 5 days. Okay? You can also add another media pool. Let's say I go back to my data store, jump into my local data store, areas, create a new pool with the name monthly. And the retention time for all files, what I, write on this media pool is, let's say, 30 days. Okay? So you have a very efficient way to add different retention times for your data. The next step, tape libraries. Very easy. What you have to do is buy a tape library, attach or install it on the server, and then you can click here on New Loader, type in the SCSI ID, the device server. The device server is again the system where the tape library is attached. You can, with this feature here, you can leave the data here, for example, directly on the Windows 2008, because when this Windows machine has more than, 50 or 100 terabytes of data, you can do a LAN-free data transfer if you choose the device server here, because then he reads the data from the Windows 2008 server and writes it directly to the tape. Okay? And when you install the tape library before you install the SEP season server, he will install everything automatically for you. Okay? There's nothing to do for you. The fourth possibility what you have are drives. You can install here single tape drives, single RDX cartridges. You can install here also 5 USB drives. For example, your wish is to change disk drives. You can set up here a new drive group. Let's call it RDX. Install a new drive. Here we have RDX is a disk hard, okay? And then just save it. Here you can also adjust the parallel streams, what you want to run for this drive. And that's it. That's the way to install RDX cartridge, okay? You see, he adds a new drive into your SEP season server, and everything is prepared for a backup. Media pool, this is what we did before. Here's the monthly one, here's the weekly one, and you can do the same for tape backup, okay? You can call it tape pool week. Retention time, I don't know, let's do again 6 days. And you can add, description, weekly, tape, drive group, tape drives, okay? And then the next thing would be tape monthly, and so on, okay? Again, tape drives, retention time, let's say 30 days, and agree with OK. What you can do now is you can start a backup on your disk and migrate it to tape. So what we prefer is that you run all your backups first to disk storage, and during the day or after the backup, migrate everything to a tape. So you have a double security. You have a very fast disk, what you can use for the initial restore, and in case something happens to the disk, you can run the restore directly from the tape. There is no reason to first copy the files back from the tape to a disk and then restore it to your system. You can do a direct restore from tape to your system. Okay, media. This is an overview for your physical tape medias. Here you see the label, the barcode, is it write protected or not, and you also see here the pool and the occupancy. Okay, that you know how much space is left on the tapes. This is everything. I call it the ground installation. Okay, when this is when this is good, you can jump directly to tasks by clients. Tasks by clients is nothing else than add tasks to all the clients, what you added here in the top level, components topology. Let's see what we can do here for a Windows computer. Okay, this is a Windows 2008 computer. We have it right here. Okay, and what we see on this computer is a C drive and an E drive. Okay, when I do a right click on this computer and say new backup task, I can enter here a task name. I can also select here the backup type. Let me see what we have. Okay, it starts with DB2, Exchange 2003. Here you can see everything what we are able to do on the Windows side. MS SQL, Oracle, MaxDB, SAP, SharePoint sites, and so on. What I do for pretty easy file backup is I select path backup, and instead of type in task name and type in the source memory, I browse into this system, and after a while, I should see here overview of all my disks. I see here the system recovery. The system recovery includes Active Directory, the Windows configuration, your DNS configuration, and you can also select your C drive and your D drive or just the C drive. Click on OK. Here you have the option to say backup with virtual shadow copy or without. We prefer with virtual shadow copy because this offers you 100% consistent backup. So when on this system is an open Excel sheet or an open Word document, that doesn't matter, because when we start the backup, we get a 100% consistent copy of this file and put it in our backup stream. Okay? When you disable this function, you get a warning here, and you will have, like in the past, open files, part of the registry is open, and that's the reason why we only work with virtual shadow writers now. Okay? Very easy. Say OK. And then we see this task here. What you can do now is do right click, go to immediate start, and say, I want to do a full backup. You see here also the option to do a differential or incremental backup. But before you can run these two types, you have to do a full backup. Okay, this is the only thing what you have to take care. And then you select the media pool. Okay, in case you want to write it directly to a data pool, you can select this data pool and say, okay, when we want to start it to a test pool, this is also my local disk. I select the test pool here, agree with OK. And after a couple of seconds, I should see here, yes. I hope you can see that here, drive 1, execute of a backup job. we have a better view for that, because when we go to job state backups, we see here all activities on the backup server. Here you see a backup task, system recovery with the information. Here's a C drive job from a Windows box, which I canceled manually, so that you see how it looks when you cancel something manually. This is a backup of an ESX VM. Okay, this is still active, and the backup job of a Windows computer from the C drive is also active. Okay, I can do a double click on this task, jump into the main log, and see what's going on. Ah, cool. He's still starting a shadow copy of the C drive, so that we really have a consistent state. Okay. Yeah, this is task by clients. What you should do for a Windows.
And Chris, yeah, I just wanted to jump in really quick. That's actually something that I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from a lot of people on that. Just that you can actually open the tasks while they're happening, and you can see the exact status of everything in real time. And one customer kind of explained it as like just having a single pane of glass to be able to see your entire backup infrastructure. And he said, with previous solutions that he had, it was really hard to figure out what was going on at any one given time. He knew that his backups were running, but he didn't know where they were, how long they had left, what they were doing. He'd just basically have to wait until the whole thing finished and see if it was successful or not. So I've gotten some pretty good feedback from that.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The next thing I want to show you is OES 11 box. Okay, I told you I prepared a system with a GroupWise 2012. We brought out this client. I don't know, Lena, when we brought out the agent for GroupWise 2012.
It was a couple months ago, I think.
Yeah, and it's cool. The only thing you have to do as well here is click on your backup task, browse into your system, and then you see here the Linux part, and here on the top level, we call it the Novell part. It tells you, hey, there's a GroupWise installed. Hey, we have a NSS file system. Hey, I found the E directory here. I found the OES I folder here, and and this is pretty cool because you can browse inside the I folder if you want. I just added a couple of guys here. CR, that's my nickname, and there's another user. I select this user, agree with OK. He changed everything automatically. Backup type I folder. He selects the right source. I agree with OK. And I have an iFolder backup job, okay? And then I can say immediate start, full backup on my, let's put it here on my Dito pool. Backup started. I jump back here to my job state view, and you see here after a second, the active job pops up, and tells me the job is successful. Wow. So, we can start a restore here. Right here, just right-click, restore. He asks you again, is this a job you've chosen? Oh, of course. Here he tells you how much different versions of this task you have, but we only did one, so we have only this one. Go to next, browse into this I folder, and I have only one document in my I folder at the moment. So select this document, say next. And here he asks you, what do you want to do? You want to restore it to the original target path, or you want to restore it to a new target? Let's say restore it to a new target. I select here. Let me see if I can put it here into my colleagues folder. Yes, and say do not overwrite existing files and start. Yeah, and what I have here is job state restore, so I can check all my restores here. And he tells me that this restore job is in the queue at the moment. Yeah, that's true, because on both drives I have backups job running, but this is not a big deal, because what you can do is I can just add a second drive on my disk storage, and then I can run backups and restores at the same time. Okay? Pretty cool feature. Next point, tasks by groups. We use the groups, for for perfect harmony in your backup environment. A good example is we split all your tasks in groups like file. Put in here the file task. You can put in here thousands of tasks. That doesn't matter. You can adjust the priority in putting tasks to the top level. So, for example, I put this task to the top level. I know this task will start first. Okay? And on the bottom, you have the lower priority tasks. Second group is system. Okay? A system group includes, for me, let's say I do a new backup task for my Windows box. Takes a little while. Yeah, the system recovery. This is what I see as my system backup from this Windows box.
Hey, Christian, I'm going to ask you
a
couple of questions while we're waiting here. This is a perfect
Of
opportunity.
course.
So, one question was, let me see. It was in regards to a loader on a SAN, and it says, we have a loader on the SAN. The loader and drives have one alias. If using a data mover on the VMs, do I zone each host and then connect raw devices to the VM, or how is it done?
When you work with raw devices, what you should do is you should install an agent inside the VM, and then install the drive from your tape library to the vCenter server. Because when you do that, you can do kind of a LAN-free backup, because then the data streams only happens internally. Okay. You can also, when your tape library is able to work with iSCSI, you can also install inside the VM a remote device and attach the tape drive as an iSCSI drive inside the VM with the raw device, and then the traffic also runs just internally. Okay, this is a little special with raw devices, because you cannot do a snapshot of a raw device, but with our technology you can do something like a LAN-free backup. Okay, when you have a VM with virtual drives, you can just add the tape library to the computer with to the SEP server or to the remote device server, and then we do a SAN snapshot and transfer the data over your SAN directly to the tape. These are the two options what you have.
Perfect. And we do have some other questions, but I'll let you continue here, and then we can jump in a minute.
Perfect. Very quick. I added the group system, and I put in here my system recovery task. For a Novell client, I just add here very quick my eDirectory backup. I hope I prepared my TSA for eDirectory. Just say here OES 11 eDirectory, select eDirectory with the source all. Okay, and then I can add this task to my group system. So a third group is VMs, virtual systems. Okay, no, sorry, I want to add a group, not a task. VMs. Put in here. This is what I forgotten to show you how that looks like when you browse an ESX environment. I have a second system here, which shows you what kind of environment you can back up with SEP. Let me say vSphere. I installed my SEP client on the virtual center server, because the virtual center is able to tell me exactly which VM runs on which node. So that means I don't have to take care on how many nodes I have and which storage I connected to my node. The only thing I did was install the client on the virtual center server, and I will show you how that looks. The virtual center server is a Windows or a Linux. I have a Windows virtual center. You can also use or work with a Linux virtual center. It doesn't matter. It's pretty much the same. Here you see the cluster group. Below the cluster group, I have my nodes. Takes a while, and here you see, this is just a little QA environment of the SEP, and what I have to do is, select the VMs, agree with OK, and a cool feature is I can enable here the change block tracking active. So when you select the change block tracking active, he enables the function on the ESX server and does a block level backup from your virtual systems. And the next thing what you can do is when you start the incremental backup, he only makes a backup of the changed blocks. Okay, this is a very cool feature. In case you write the VMs here to an NFS share with this function, you can mount the virtual machines directly out of the data store from the SEP server. Okay, yeah, and I added. Let me say, this is a standalone ESX server. It looks a little different because you will not see a Windows environment when we browse into this box. Takes just a couple of seconds. Renai, is there another question meanwhile?
There is. Let me see here. Quick and easy one. Does the Windows Workstation need to have an SEP client installed on it to be able to back it up? And the answer is yes. You would have to put a client on the Windows Workstation to be able to back it up, and also for the disaster recovery module, unless it was in a virtual environment and you had some of the virtual licensing, so for the VMware or the Citrix or the Hyper-V. In that case, it would just be an image level backup. Otherwise, yes, anything physical, you would need to put a client license or an agent on.
Yeah, perfect. Back to the question of one of our guests, can we select the disks of the VM? Yes, we can. This is a Windows 7 box with only a C partition, but in case there are also a D partition and an F partition, you will see here for each partition own VMDK file. So you can select from which disk you want to do a snapshot. And when you know, for example, that the D drive is a raw partition, then you deselect this raw partition and make the backup through the agent what is installed inside the VM. Okay? So again, here he prepares everything automatically for you. I just choose a different task name and go back to my backup groups, add the backup group VMs, and put my virtual guests in here. So now I have 3 different task groups, and the last thing I really have to do is add schedules. Okay? Here you see some default prepared schedules. Just let me delete them very quick. So, and start with a schedule called, let's say, daily file inc to disk. Okay, crazy name, but it tells me what this job does, and I say this schedule should run from Monday to Friday. I don't know, let's say 8 p.m. Yeah, it's 8 p.m. with a duration of 6 hours. The duration is how long he tries to start this schedule, okay? And then add another schedule which says weekly file full disk, and I choose the Saturday, just any time, it doesn't matter, okay? And what I can do now is select the schedule, say new backup event, and here I can say below the schedule I will add a task group with incremental, backup mode hot, of course, because we are able to do everything online. On the media pool, do we have a daily media pool? Not now, but in case we have a daily media pool, we can select this pool here and select the task group file. You remember these are the 3 task groups we added a second before, okay? Below the schedule full, I go again into the step. This time I select the backup type full on my weekly backup. And again, the task group file. So SEP CSM knows that every task which is below the group file, he has to start in the backup type full. So that makes it very easy for you, okay? And you can do the same here for VMs. Just say daily VM to tape, for example. Select Monday to Friday on any time. Let's say again 8, and that is better for the overview. Write it directly in the name of the schedule here. Do a right click, new backup event, say backup type full to your tape pool week, and select the task group VMs. That's everything, okay? So, and the only thing what you have to do when your environment grows up is to add this new system as a client here, add tasks to the client, and put the new task into your task group. And that's all, because the schedules are already prepared, the groups below the schedule is still there, and this is pretty easy. And the last function I will show you is a migration. A migration is to write something from one media pool to another media pool, or also in case of a technology change. If you know, for example, that the DLT technology will maybe only exist for 1 year, and you have to transfer all your old backups to a tape technology like LTO5, the only thing you have to do is add 2 different media pools. The DLD, the media pool which runs on your DLT drive is maybe the tape monthly, and then you can just create a new media pool called LTO5 on test drives. Then you can jump here to migration and select new migration task, and the name is, I don't know, DLT to LTO5. Your source pool is your tape pool weekly, okay, with any drive, and the destination pool is LTO5. And then you can say, when I start this job, I want to migrate everything only from today, or from yesterday till today, or from, I don't know, last year Christmas to the day after. Okay, and this is great. The real function is to say migrate data from your disk to tape. So you run the backup to disk during the night, and over the day you can migrate everything to a tape. I select here my data pool. This is my disk storage, and I migrate it to my LTO5. Okay, very easy. And yesterday to today, all backup types, I save it, add a new schedule, call this schedule daily migration. Let's say daily, every day, or every hour, every minute. Starts at 9 a.m. in the morning. Right-click, new migration task event. And here I can select my migration, what I did before, and click on OK. That's it. So This schedule runs now every day a backup to disk and the migration migrated to tape. And this is kind of a perfect backup concept. You can add, yearly backup tasks to that. You can run, for example, when you have a database and it's important for you to have the exact state of every hour, you can run log file backups every hour. You can run a log file backup every minute in case you run an Exchange server or a group-wise environment. You can also run incremental backups every 5 minutes. But all that depends on, the configuration of your environment and the performance. And what I also want to tell you is here in my second environment, NetApp. It's a new tool, a new feature, and it's very easy. The only thing what you have to do is to add a new client with the operating system NetApp, type in the right username and the password, and then when we select a new backup task, we see all the maybe I did something wrong. This one is the right one. And here you can see all the visible LUNs on your NetApp. And the only thing you have to do is select the LUN, agree with OK, and when you start this backup, we run a NetApp snapshot, mount the NetApp snapshot, and do a backup of it. And this is very, very fast because if we mount this snapshot as an NFS share, and when you do a crosswire between your NetApp and the backup server, you can use a performance like more than 500, 800 gigabytes per hour. And I think this is also an amazing functionality. Hyper-V, pretty much the same as for ESX. Your backup task, browse the system, and here, when I click on my Hyper-V environment, I see all my visible VMs. Okay, turned off, turned on. Just select, agree with OK. It changed the backup type for you, and you have a prepared backup task. Okay. Another thing, Citrix Xen server, new backup task. Agent-free, very important to know. You don't have to install anything on the Xen server. You see all your VMs, and also a host backup and a metadata backup is possible. This is very important in case the system disk of one of your ESX node crashes. Okay? Select the backup task, agree with OK, and choose a task name. Put all that in your existing task groups, and that's it. Yeah. I hope it was an interesting presentation for you, Lanai. I'm ready.
I think that was excellent, Christian. I think it covered quite a few different topics. We do have quite a few questions, so we can go ahead and jump into that. I know that we did run over a little bit on time, and thank you guys for staying with us. It looks like almost every single person who had logged in is still on with us, so thank you very much. We are going to go through and answer some questions. Before we start that, I do want to just give you guys some contact information. I did put it in the chat in the GoToMeeting little console part, but if anybody has any questions, wants to follow up, on an individual basis, you can reach us at info@sepusa.com, or you can call us at 303-449-0100. And once again, if you guys want to write that down, it's info@sepusa.com, and also you can reach us by phone 303-449-0100. And let's go ahead and jump into some of the questions that we've gotten. Okay, if multiple jobs are running using all tape drives and I need to do a restore, will the restore job automatically take priority and grab the resources it needs to do the restore?
This is something what you can adjust in SEP CSIM. The default is that the restore starts after the backups, but when you give the restore task a higher priority, I can show you that here, because in each task you can change the priority here, and when the restore job has a higher priority than the backup task, the restore job will drive first and then the backup jobs.
Thank you, Christian. Okay. Another question, are there any security issues using Java since we have a Java-based console?
Not so far I know, because as Lanai told you at the beginning, our we work in many bank accounts, and in Germany you have to run like a special security test before you can sell your product at the market, and we never heard about security issues in our Java console. And another thing is what we have here is we have a user security. So when we go to user permissions, only users, known users which you entered here have access to the Java. And I think the communication between the Java GUI and the SEP server is encrypted. Okay, but this is what I maybe have to ask the development team if this is important information for you.
Perfect. Hopefully that answers the question. And if there is any follow-up to that, please send us an email. Let us know. We'll get back to you. Another question, do we do source-side deduplication? And that's a great question. Right now, we are doing destination-side deduplication, and in our next release, it will be source-side. So we do have source-side up and running in, I believe, kind of an alpha test environment. It's not integrated into our product yet. It will be soon. And that actually comes back to some of what Christian just talked about with the mandatory testing and security requirements that are required in Germany. Most of our code is written in Germany. And so we actually have to pass a certification and review of how everything works. And we basically have to, wait until the certifications are processed until we can have a new release for something like that. And so it's, I guess you could kind of think of it similar to getting a building permit for your house. You have to wait until electrical passes inspection, then you have to wait till plumbing passes. And so we can only go one step at a time with it. And so basically we're going through that certification process now. So that should be available in our next release. Another question, basically saying, I see that Oracle can be backed up. Can you guys back up Sybase also? And is that while the database is running? Any concern of data corruption? So the answer for that is for Oracle, yeah, it's definitely online while it's running. There's no concern for data corruption whatsoever for any of our database modules. They all work very well. They're very high performing, actually. And in the case of Sybase, it's not supported. Christian I think that just got added to our roadmap a little while ago, didn't it? Or a couple days ago?
It does. It does. And honestly, it looks like we will have a Sybase module end of the year available.
Okay, and I think that's probably one of the only ones that's somewhat popular that we currently don't have a module for. But yeah, it sounds like it should be done by the end of this year. So I hope that answers that question. And of course, we can also dump, schedule the database to just dump, and then we can back up that flat file, and there shouldn't be any issues doing that either. Okay, next question. Does SEP track the location of tapes off-site, in loader, etc., so that if it's needed for a restore, it will tell you where to find the tape? And I think basically, Christian, it does tell you which tape it needs, although I'm not sure if it has a GPS on the tapes that it tracks.
Yeah, but not a GPS, but what you have here. Yeah, I'm sorry that I don't have a running tape environment here, but if you see this screen here, you have the first thing what you have are user comments. There you can write informations like tape is at this place. The next thing what we do is when you put out the tape, from the tape library, you can enable here a manual write protection, which shows you a red signal. So this is what you should use when you put a tape outside your tape library. Just mark it red so that you know, okay, this tape is not a part of my inventory. And when you start a restore, before you can start the restore, he tells you which tapes are needed for all your data. So you can go wherever you have to go, grab the tapes, put it into the tape library, start an archive adjustment, and then start the restore. But SEP will tell you where the tapes are.
Perfect. Next question. Can a task be scheduled based on the successful completion of another task?
There is no GUI functionality, but you can. What you can do is here when you have a backup job, you can select here a pre and a post execution, and there you can write one. This is just one line because I told you everything what you can click here in the GUI, you can also write in a command line interface. So what you can do is you can say, make a post execution which says after the backup job was successful, was unsuccessful, was with warnings. You can just do anything else. Start another backup, start a restore of that, or maybe also migration. This is what you can do here with our pre and post interface.
Perfect. Okay, next question. It says one of our ISO requirements is to do a year-end backup and take it off site for 7 years. Can retentions keep that long? And I believe, the answer is yeah. I mean, we can set up a retention period for whatever we'd like. And the other thing too that we want to kind of discuss also is this just a regular backup retention that you're looking for, or is it data that needs to be archived? Because we also have archive functionality where we can physically archive that data with warm technology so that it can't be altered or deleted or changed or modified or anything like that. So that's definitely a discussion that I'd invite you to follow up with us on. And hopefully that answers your question. The next question is a follow-up to that, actually, and it says, does the retention period remove that data after it's been met or not? And the answer is you can set it up either way. So you can have it so that data is deleted after the retention period, or you can have it so that it will remain intact until it's just time for, until there's no room and it gets overwritten. So you can have it either way. You can either make it so it is deleted after that time, or so that it's just available to be overwritten. Another question, do you guys have educational pricing? And is installation included? Yes, we do have educational pricing. We also offer nonprofit pricing as well, and government pricing also, which are all a little bit separate. And installation is not included. It's a professional service that we do provide. We're more than happy to work with you guys and help you do the installation process. Or you can, have us do the full installation for you. Generally, the way we handle our installations are to kind of work with you guys and tag team an installation. So we would kind of have a preliminary meeting. We, strategize, figure out the best scenario for you and your specific environment. We would, make recommendations for, different components of your network and your environment. And then we'd start out the installation. We kind of show you how to, do the basic things, how to install different clients. And then we really let you guys, do some of that work also. And again, we can set this up, however people need it to be set up. But typically speaking, most of our customers really like to be involved, and they want to say, okay, show me how to do one or two. I'll go do it myself. I'll do the rest of them. And that kind of drills it in, and they know how to install clients. They know how to do the scheduling. And then on an ongoing basis, that it kind of suffices as initial training as well. So generally, by the time an installation is complete, the user who has gone through and done the installation feels very comfortable, very confident with everything, and really feels like they can go in and administer the software and do whatever they need to do, make any changes that need to be made with it. I have another question which is asking which email, and I believe that's in reference to which email programs do we support. I would have to get a full list, but I know the popular ones are Exchange, GroupWise, Lotus Notes, Scalex, Zarafa, Open Exchange, I believe. What else am I missing, Christian?
Yeah, Dovecot, Saris, and what was the other Unix? I don't know. There is another one. Dovecot, Saris, and I've forgotten the last one because
we support pretty much all of them. So if there's a specific question on anything, if you want to know if we support a specific email application, please let us know. Shoot us over an email. I'll get back to you, or someone will get back to you with the proper response. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Okay. Thank you, Jennifer, for the kind words. So Jennifer says that she thinks the product is awesome, and she's really happy that you found us. She was having some non-support issues with one of her previous solutions. So Jennifer, thank you. And please reach out to us, get in touch with us. We'd love to follow up with you, get a proof of concept installed for you, let you do some testing and stuff. So any other questions, please shoot those over. I think we're getting close to wrapping up. Christian, was there anything else that you wanted to add before we answer the last couple questions and wrap up?
There's one thing I've forgotten to show you. Is this is the actual ratio of our deduplication after 1 day. So we've written 25 gigs and we saved 7 gigs. Okay, and this is just the first day. And interesting thing is, you can see here when you start the backup of ESX host, a block level backup, which is pretty much only the written blocks, comes from 9.7 gigabyte down to 6. And when you start this backup for a second time, SEP only writes 700 megabytes. Okay, yeah, this thing.
Wow. That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, and one other thing I'll mention also is that users are able to access any data that has been backed up. So with a lot of the other backup software out there, I kind of use the analogy of a bucket. So if you're filling up a bucket with water, or you're doing a backup job, and if there's an error with the backup job, or the flow of water stops into the bucket, with most backup software, you can't access that data. You have to have a full, complete backup to be able to go in and access that data. So with our solution, if you get 90% of the way through a backup, you have access to that information. And so you at least have something that you can access, and you have some of your data secure, instead of like some of the other solutions that just stop and you have to completely start from scratch. They basically just kick that bucket over and you don't have any of the water that was in there. So that is one thing that I think is a little bit unique to our software, and something that's very useful and helpful. Anything else, Christian?
No, thank you.
Okay.
Nothing from my side. I say thank you.
Okay, hold on.
Or listen to me.
One more. Somebody was asking if we have a copy of this webinar or if it was recorded, and I believe it was being recorded, and I believe we will have access to that. So we can actually send out an email to people who registered for the webinar, and we'll get a link to you guys so that you can access the recording, and we will we'll send that link out to you guys so you'll have access to it. So good question. And again, if anyone is here who would like to forward it on to any of their colleagues, you should have that information sent out to you sometime later today. Give one last second for any last questions. Oh, here's a couple that just came in, actually. Okay, these are they're not questions, false alarm. People just saying, hey, this looks really good. We like the software. This looks awesome. Thank you. Keep up the good work. One person says, yes, please send out that link. I'd like to share it with other techs or other tech directors nearby. Thank you for doing that. Hey, congratulations. This software looks good. I'd like to try it. Thank you very much. We would like you to also. Thanks for all the positive feedback, guys. This has been a great webinar. Thank all of you individually for taking the time out of your day to attend. I know that many of you are very busy, so we appreciate your time, and we would love to follow